Everyone, welcome all for joining this particular community session with us. So I am Vinod, community chapter lead for Chennai. So we have Arun Pandian will be taking us through 20.8 features of all latest features in the UiPath Studio and some new latest updates over here. As you can see, like we have members joining. So and we'll keep getting started with this session. In case of any questions, you can post in the chat. We can connect over the Q&A in the end of the session. Arun, over to you. You can get started.
Yeah, thank you, Vinod. Good evening, everyone. This is Arun from UiPath Professional Services. Today we will be seeing latest update of 20.8, whatever the latest update. What are the topics we will be covering is um, sign-in and first run experience. We will talk about the single sign-in feature, which was released by UiPath, and we'll be talking about the C# support. The native C# developer can just pull their own C# skills with UiPath right now, and we'll be seeing how we can design a template on our own, which is similar to an RE framework. And finally, we'll be seeing a cool feature, data services. Probably I'll be taking in-depth on data services, which is very useful feature. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. First thing, single sign-in and first run experience. So what is the use of it and how we can do this thing? So first thing is, you guys might be familiar with cloud.uipath.com. So you'll be having an account in cloud.uipath.com. So once you sign with that particular platform, so if you are downloading the latest version, latest studio setup, and when you're trying to install, the first home screen you'll be getting is this particular screen when you're trying to install the latest version. And you can just select the service link, either cloud.uipath.com or alpha.uipath.com. So we have these two platforms. So you guys might be familiar with cloud, but you guys might not be aware about this alpha.uipath.com. So whenever our product team comes with a new update or comes with a new publish, they will be publishing it to a alpha.uipath.com initially, and then after doing certain testing, they will just publish it towards the community platform, which is a cloud.uipath.com. So whatever the platform it may be, you just sign in and you just give your service URL here and you just click on sign in. Once you click on sign in, what happens is, let me show you. So this is actually your UI robot, okay, sorry, UiPath assistant right now. So we just renamed it as UiPath assistant, and what you have to do is just go to this preference, and you can see here orchestrator settings. So at the earlier stage, when you are trying to connect UiPath robot with orchestrator, you are supposed to do a lot of settings, like you will be copying the machine name, you will be getting the machine key, all those things. But right now it made very simple. So I'll just explain what I'm trying to say here. Just let me sign out, and instead of the service URL, just getting disconnected. Okay, so instead of the service URL, let me give a machine key. So it's a old-fashioned way. You have to do all the stuffs like copying the machine key and pasting here. You have to generate the machine key from orchestrator, all those things. But when you're just giving a single sign-in, just provide the service URL, just provide the platform link, whatever you have signed in. In my case, I have signed in to alpha.uipath.com. Just provide the URL and just click on sign in. What happens is, it will just navigate me to the sign in page website, and what we'll do here is, that is a two-way. You can just copy it and paste on any browser and you can do it. So I have already signed in here. Let me just do a refresh. Okay. So that's it. Once I do a refresh, once I just log into that particular alpha.uipath.com, that's it. You can see connected and licensed. So this is what I mean by the first sign-in experience. So we need not connect our robot in an old-fashioned way. We can just sign into the particular cloud platform or alpha platform, and you can just sign in here. Okay, so that's it about the first sign-in experience. And next topic, C# support. So early stage we have like we can just invoke only VB.NET code like VBA. We can just invoke all the VBA codes, and we can just use all the VBA methods. Right now UiPath has exclusively added this feature. So what is the reason is most of the RPA developer comes from the .NET background. So this particular feature was always requested by the .NET developers. So it was added in 20.8. But right now, when you guys are trying to install 20.8 or when you're trying to install the latest community version, it will be downloaded as 20.10. Okay, so what happens in 20.10 is this particular feature is disabled as of now due to some technical reasons, and you will be getting this feature back in the upcoming release, which will be on next month or probably within few weeks. You will be getting the next release where you can find this C# support. So I was not able to do that particular demo. Yeah, and let's move on to the next topic, like templates. Right now in 20.10 or 20.8, whatever the version it may be, so starting from 20.8, so you will be able to design your own templates. What I mean by that is, let me show. Yeah, here. So just go to the home and you'll be finding an option like template here. So just click on template, and you can just provide whatever the template name you want to create, and just click on create. So I just have created it and I'll just show you. So you'll be normally having a XAML or a workflow like this with an empty blank workflow. So whatever the change you want to do, just do it here. And only thing matters is when you are trying to publish it, it will be published as a template instead of a process. When you're doing a normal publish, it will be a process, but when you're selecting that as a template and trying to publish it, it will be published as a template. So what I have done here is this particular thing you can also do. I have created here a hybrid framework. So you guys all will be aware about a robotic enterprise framework, which is a performer bot. So what happens normally is you guys will be designing a dispatcher code and a performer code. So dispatcher code is responsible for adding data to the queue, and this performer bot, which is an RE framework one, will download the queue item and it will just process it. So that is how the normal architecture works. And as I told, dispatcher code is separate and the performer code is separate. Right now in a hybrid framework, what we will do is we'll just merge the dispatcher code along with the performer code. Okay, so what I mean by that is just go to this initialize, and config is nothing, which means that this particular portion will be running only once in your RE framework. So inside that we'll just add here the dispatcher code. So whatever the code you will be writing to add the data to a queue. Okay, so just place your code here. Okay, that's it. So your current RE framework will act as both dispatcher as well as a performer. So at the first run, what it will do is it will just push the data into queue and it will just start to process it. Okay, so this is what we called it as a hybrid framework. Let me publish it. Okay, let me publish it. Once you're trying to publish it, this is where you can see some difference, like template informations. Okay, normally you'll be having a process info. Here you'll be having some template information and publish option where you are supposed to publish. Since you signed in already, single sign in, so it will be published to the orchestrator tenant which you are connected by default. In my case it will be like alpha.uipath.com. In your case it will be like cloud.uipath.com. Yeah, that's it. And if you have any certification you can just upload it. So what is the use of this certification is, in certain networks, if you don't have an access, you will be shown a warning and you will not be able to access this particular URLs, and you might not see in the template. So when you provide those certifications, it will be like clear path you will be just providing, and so that all the templates will be visible in their firewall also. Okay, that's it. Just click on publish. Published. Okay, now let's go to the template and let's see template. So you can see here it's my template which is under my category, and if you want to search and find it, let's do it. Go to the orchestrator, and for some reason it's not displaying on its own. We just have to search it. Okay, so you'll not find anything when you just select the orchestrator, and you see there will be like no templates. And yeah, so now you can just click on the hybrid RE framework and you can just use this template. Now as normally you do, like you will be doing with an RE framework, right? Similarly you can just do it with the hybrid framework, so whatever template. So in this fashion you can just create n number of templates for your specific client based one. So where we will normally use this hybrid framework is when we have only 2 robots and we have like 5 to 6 process in hand, so you can just use a single code which do both the dispatcher work as well as the performer work. Yeah, this is all about templates. This is how you can just design your own customized template and share it in cloud. Okay, done. Now let's go to the data services and entity integration. Okay, data services and entity integration. So before going into data services and entity integration, I'd like to give some brief intro. What is the underlying concept behind this data services? Normally in our organizations, if you want to collect some information from different teams, what we'll do is we'll just place an Excel file on a SharePoint and we'll just share that link to all the teams, and we'll be collecting all those information and we'll be doing some actions on it. Else there is another one way, you can just place it on your SQL database and you have to query them and you have to process it. These are some of the ways we normally do till now. But after introducing this data services, you can do the same action, okay, with zero code. You does not require any SQL skills to retrieve the data from the database. Okay, you can just drag and drop few activities from UiPath and achieve the same. That's one thing. No code architecture. And another one is data security. Whatever the data placed in this particular data service is robust and highly secure. It's encrypted one, so no one can access it. And point number two is you can design your own data structure. What I mean by that is, I'll just explain you when we are going towards. So let me show a demo on that. Okay. So first thing, so just sign into whatever the platform you have. Just sign in, and you will be normally finding this data services. If you guys are not finding this data services, no worries. Just go to the home. Normally, you will be landed on this particular page, whatever the platform it is. Just click on manage, and here you will be seeing what are the services you are enabled with. Just click on the three dots and click on edit services. Now you just have to check this data services and entities. Okay, if it is unchecked, just check it and click on save. That's it. Now you will be seeing this particular option here, like data services. Just select the data services, and I have created few entities here, but I'll just show you how we can create it and how we can use it. So today's example, I'll be explaining with this two Excels. Okay, so we have two Excels here. One is a detail, employee detail, and another one is employee salary. So you have a two Excels here. So both have the same employee ID. Okay, I mean the same column. Okay, common column. So what is the reason to have a common column is to create a relationship between them. Like you have this set of information with this unique ID, and you can just use the same ID to fetch the salary and his employee band. Okay. Um, Now we'll just try to push these data to the data services, and we'll just try to retrieve them. Okay. First thing, before pushing the data into data services, you are supposed to create an entity. So here, normally what is an entity is, entity is a customized data structure which user can create on their own. What what I mean by that is, you might be aware about array data type. Okay, so array data type is a built-in data type which accepts sequence of data which is of same data type. Like if you are having an array of string, whatever the data you place inside an array, it should be a string type. Okay, but here we are having a different data types, like one is a integer, another two is a text or string, and followed by that is a date. So what we do here is we create our own structure. Okay, that particular structure we call it as an entity. Okay, so we create a particular structure, that particular structure we call it as an entity here. So let me show how we can create an entity. Okay, so this is a employee detail. So I have already created this like employee details, and let me do it one more time. Just click on create new entity. I will just do this employee salary, which has only 3 columns. So let me delete this employee salary. create new entity. Just get the entity name. That's it. So your entity has been created with these default fields. Okay, whatever the fields you have here, you can't delete these things. Okay, but you can update these values, but you will not be able to delete these values. These are the default fields, whatever the entity you create. On added to this, we'll just create our own field. First thing, employee ID. So inside the employee ID, we have to specify the type as number, and this is required one. And yeah, sorry, this will be a relationship one. Okay, so initially in the primary table. Okay, so what I mean by that is, let me show this one. So employee detail is a primary table. Okay, inside which you will be creating all the fields which are under here. Okay, so which are under here, like employee ID, employee name, employee location, and employee date of joining. So this is the primary table, and this is a secondary table we have in hand. So in this table, the employee ID will be saved as a number. Okay, the primary table. And for the secondary table, this particular ID will act as a relationship, which means this will act as a primary key. In case you guys are familiar with database architecture, we will be having a concept known as a primary key. That is what we're going to do right now here. So this particular employee ID of the second table will act as a relationship. So let's go to the secondary table. Let me create once again. Employee ID. And type should be like relationship. And here they are asking related entity. What is the entity you want to relate? We already created an entity known as employee details. So we'll just select that employee details, and the field name will just give us employee ID. This is how you will be creating an relationship between two entities. Just give us required and say. That's it. So remaining fields you just can create it normal way, like just okay. Let me create the last one. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Fine. Right now we have created two entities, and this employee detail is a primary entity and employee salary is a secondary entity which has a relationship with his employee details. Okay, with the help of employee ID. Okay. In case if you want to edit any sort of type or something else, you can just edit it. Whatever the fields you have created, you can edit it. But all these things create time, the default system generated one, you will not be able to edit all those stuffs. Okay, so this is how you will create your own entity or your own customized data structure here. Okay, let's try to push data into push data into this data services. first thing is reading the data from Excel. We'll be reading this to Excel data and we'll be storing them in a data table. Let me show you. So yeah, you can see here. So I'm just reading the Excel files and storing it on data table. And once I store those data, what I'll do is I'll just try to push them with the help of for each row. This is what the important part of how you can push data into a data services. So before doing all these stuffs, okay, so you have to learn about this manage services, which is disabled as of now. So what you have to do here is you are supposed to connect it once again, which since I disconnected it, this was showing an error. Let me just close the UiPath Studio. Let me just log in once again. So whenever you sign out of a UiPath or whenever you sign out of that cloud platform, you are supposed to restart your machine so that the connection will establish once again. Let me open it. So now you can see here that robot error has been rectified. Now let's see. You can see this manage entity option has been enabled. Okay, so let's open this. So here you will see what are the entities we created, like whatever the entities we have created in data services, all will be visible here. Just select whatever the entity you want in your particular project and just click on save. Okay, now you can see here the entity which you have created in the data services. Now yeah, now we'll see how we can just push data into data services with the help of this particular method. Like, so you have to create a local variable which is of type our particular entity. Like what I mean by that is, I'll just show you. Let me delete this particular variable, okay, and let me create the variable. Go to the variable panel, just create, okay, this particular variable, like okay. So I'll just delete this particular variable and show you how we can create this. So first thing, we just created a structure here. Now we'll just try to call this structure inside the studio. How we are supposed to do that is, just create the variable, go to the structure, browse for type. Now you can just search for your type. So employee salary. So whatever the entity you have created in a cloud platform will be reflected here. Okay. So details. So whatever it may be. So in our case, we are just fetching the salary details from an Excel. So we are supposed to use our salary entity here. Just select salary entity. That's it. Okay. So what we have done here is, first we are supposed to create that variable, okay, of our data type. This is a custom data type which we have created with the help of a data service. Okay. Now we'll just create that. We have created the variable and we'll just initialize the variable. Normally we'll do for a data table, right? The same operation we are doing here. We are just initializing the variable. Next, we'll just add the data to it. Okay. So we have that variable, right? Just after that, just give a dot and you will see all the list of fields which are given in the data services. So whatever the field you have given here, like let me go to this data employee salary. So whatever the fields you have here will be populated here. Okay. So just give a dot and you can see all the fields here. So, and one more thing, whenever you are trying to add a decimal value like numbers to this particular data services, always use this particular method, decimal dot pass. We tried like convert dot to in 32 method also, but it doesn't work. So you always try with this particular method like decimal dot pass. Okay, and just give your values here if you are passing any numbers. And for salary, it's fine, you can just pass the same string. And this is the most important thing, creating a relationship between the two tables. Okay, so see here what I have wrote here is, so first we are just doing the same for the primary table and we are just adding it, okay, to the employee details entity. Okay, so once you add it, okay, you will be having this particular object. Okay, this particular object you are supposed to use it on the second table. Okay, second time what you are trying to do. So see here, so salary dot employee id, okay, emp salary dot emp id, employee id, you will be passing like emp details underscore local. So which means that the previous variable or the previous output object has to be used, okay, when you are adding the next entity's data. Okay, so that's how the relationship will be established between these two entities. Okay. Let's run and see. Before running, let me just delete all those values. Okay. We don't have anything in salary. Okay, let me try to run it. So we have the details for whatever we are having in this particular sheet. Okay, you can see here. So, and similarly, you will be having the same data, whatever in this particular Excel. Now, in order to add these things, okay, so you'll just collectively add all the data and you'll just push it with the help of this create entity record. Okay, and here you are supposed to select whatever the structure you want, whatever the entity you want. In our case, it will be like EMP details, and if you want to push the second set, you'll be using like entity EMP salary. Okay, and you'll be following the same method to push the data into data services. And this is how you will be pushing the data into data services. And now let's see how we can retrieve the data from the data services. So we have this particular activity like query entity records, and using which you can just retrieve the data from data services. And what you have to do is, it's like a normal filter operation which we do. Okay, you need not know SQL for to do a query here. You just have to do a filter operation, that's it. It's SQL. Okay, so here what we have wrote here is, if the employee ID is not null, which means we have some data in the employee ID field, we will be fetching it. Yeah, so we'll be fetching it and we'll be storing it in a list. So what we are doing here is, so we'll just fetch these details, these informations, okay, and we'll be storing it on a list. That's it. And you'll get a pop-up with the name list. Whatever name you want to select, you can just select it. So once you selected it, okay, once you specified the name, what we want to fetch, okay, then what happens is, this is what you will understand how the relationship works. Okay, so we are going to only employee salary entity. Okay, we are just using only employee salary entity for querying this time, and we have given like emp id dot employee name equal to the selected value. Whatever the value you are selecting, like whatever the value you are selecting from this input dialog box will be used here in the query for comparison. So employee name equals the selected value. Once, so this will also returns a returns all the values from this particular salary entity. Okay, and what happens is, let's iterate through it. So what we have done is, we have iterated through the list which was generated from the employee salary entity. Okay, now how we can access all the information, that I'll just show you here. See here, so this is a item object. Okay, and after that, if you give employee ID, okay, so you will be given with employee name. Okay, so using the employee ID as a relationship, you can just fetch the employee name which is of different entity. Okay, currently we have this list emp complete info which is from only the salary. See here, so this particular query entity record is only dealing with this salary entity, but using which we can just get the name also. Okay, how we can get the name is, can just get it like, when you use method like, I'll just show you. So just give a dot emp id. So you can see here only the 3 IDs. So when you give emp, Okay, when you give emp, it's like displaying only the 3 values which are present only on this Excel. Okay, see here. So you can see here, like, it has only 3 fields which is on salary table, so that will be displayed at the first instant. Okay, so but when you just go to this employee ID and when you just give a click, okay, now you will see all the fields. Now you see all the fields from the detail table. Okay, from there you can just specify whatever the field you want. Okay, and that's it. So similarly we'll be fetching like employee location from the employee details table, and this particular field belongs to the salary table itself. Okay, we can just um, navigate directly here. Okay, now let's run and see. So currently it just displays what are the employees we have, and once you select the particular employee, that particular employee detail will be populated here. Okay. No, currently we are just using the community version. You can just try it on anything. Yeah. Now let me summarize what I have done in both once again, so that we'll have some clarity over it. So first thing, we have created two entities, okay, which is of these particular Excel data types. Okay, like, so whatever the structure we have replicated the same structure by creating two entities here. One is EMP details, which is a primary entity, and EMP salary, which is a secondary entity, and both are connected using EMP IDs, that which means employee IDs. It's connected with employee IDs. So in primary entities, you have to create the employee ID just giving the type. Okay, and in the secondary entity, you have to give the same employee ID and you have to give the type as relationship. Okay, here you should not specify the type like number, so it will not work. Okay, so the primary table, the primary entity should be this default one. Okay, you can just specify the type, but rest all the entity which is the dependent one should be selected as relationship. That's it from this data service, and we'll go to the code and we'll just see one more time. So here I will just read the Excel file and store it on a data table, and I'll just iterate through the data table with the help of for each row, and we have to create the variable. Okay, we have to create the variable of our entity type. Okay, before that you have to check this manage entity. Okay, so normally this particular manage entity will be grayed out. Okay, so you have to log into the platform to get this manage entity option enabled, and whenever you guys are signing out of that particular platform, or whenever you are clicking on sign out and when you are trying to log in once again, we recommend you guys to just restart the machine so that the connection will be established once again. And after that, just go to the manage entities and select whatever the entities you have, okay, published, you have used it in the data services, and just click on save. In our case we just did early, so it's grayed out here. And after that also you can check whether it is added successfully or not. Just go to the project and you will see an entity tab where you will find the two entities what you have created. Now you have to create a variable to store the data. Okay, which means whatever the data you are getting from Excel, that has to be stored in a variable which is of your entity type. Okay, the same structure. So I have showed you, like, I will create a variable, and normally you will not find your entity type here. So what you have to do is just browse for the type and just search for your own entity. EMP salary. Okay, EMP salary or EMP details. So you'll just create a variable of your own customized entity type. Okay, once you have created the variable, okay, so you have to initialize that particular variable, the same method which we use for initializing the data table. Just give the variable name new, and once again the same entity name here. Okay, so that it will be initialized, and after that you will be just giving the variable name and dot. Okay, so all the entities, all the fields in that particular entity will be populated. Just give a dot, just give a dot, you will just see all the fields. Okay, so normally this created type time, all these will be default, and it will be updated automatically. You need not worry about that. So only thing, whatever the fields you have created, in my case I just have created like let me give a dot. So it's like EMP ID. So employee name. Similarly, whatever I have created, I will be just giving that particular field name here, and I will be assigning a value to it. So once this particular assign is done, okay, once I have assigned all the values, okay, next what I will do is I will try to push those values to the data services with the help of this particular method. Just select the same entity which you want to push and just give that this variable. That's it. Okay, so that's how you'll just push data into data services, and we'll see how to retrieve it once again. So here I'm just retrieving the data from employee details, and what I have given is if the employee ID is not null, okay, if it is not null, which means there is some data, we'll just retrieve it and store it on a list. And once you select that employee name, okay, the selected value will be using to query from the employee salary. Okay, so whatever the value is selected that matches the employee name, that particular record will be populated from the employee salary, I mean EMP salary entity. Okay, and we are just iterating to that particular list, and how you can access all the values is, let me show you. So we are just accessing the salary table. So if you want to access that particular fields which are under a salary entity, you can just give a dot and you can find only those fields like EMP, okay, EMP, ID, payout, brand, everything. But if you want to go to the next, the primary table, okay, you can use this EMP ID, which is a relationship type. So just give that and just click on dot. So you'll be finding all the employee location, EMP names, which are all part of the primary entity. Okay. By default, it will be storing in a cloud where the backend might be SQL database. Yeah. So that's it, guys. I have done with the demo. If you guys have any doubt, let's discuss right now.
Hi Arun, Krishnakant here.
Hi.
I have okay. Can you go to the previous workflow, like inserting the records into the data service?
Yeah.
So here it has three arguments, right? One is the entity
This one,
type, and no, the below one.
variable. Yeah.
No. This one, the create entity record activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has a three arguments like entity type and input record and output record. Right? So what is the output record, and where are we going to use this output record?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? What it is going to return?
Okay. So it's a very good question. So first thing is we are just adding these values. Okay. Only these values. Okay. So but this entity has few more fields also. Okay. You can see like the default fields are there. Okay. So what this particular yeah, particular field will return us, it will return all those values, okay, as an object. Okay, so it will just return like the default values also will be returned here, and this particular value you will be using inside here. This particular place to create a relationship.
Okay.
So that's where you'll be using this particular field. Okay, so the previous entity's output object will be used by the next, okay, entity while we are creating a relationship. Got it? So see here,
Oh,
emp
okay.
salary
Okay.
local dot emp id. There we are not passing any employee id there. Okay. So normally we will be passing the values, right? Whatever the values we are fetching from the Excel. Okay. But
Yeah.
here we are not passing any employee ID value. We are just passing the previous object. Okay. Whatever the object which is written previously. Okay.
Okay.
Still confused?
Okay, fine. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, see, we have the two separate Excels right here. So employee
Mm-hmm.
salary and employee details.
Mm-hmm.
So in the back end, in the orchestrator, we are creating the relationship between these two. So how is it going to insert the exact record for the same ID?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So see here, the condition is a for each inside a for each in this scenario. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is a primary Excel, okay, and the secondary Excel which is placed inside a for each. So,
Oh, okay.
and when this particular condition satisfied, okay, like employee ID matches, we are just doing it, okay, we are just pushing it then. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else? Akshay.
Hey, hi Arun, Akshay this side.
Hi Akshay.
Hey, first of all, thanks for this fantastic session.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, I might miss the exact point where the what is the basic requirement that we do require this data service. So I hear at starting point of this session you were saying something about SharePoint files where we are accessing those. So can you please explain that?
Okay. So let's consider like you have a multiple teams, okay, and if you want to get some sort of information from all the teams, okay, so what you guys will be doing is you will be just creating an Excel and you will be sharing it in a SharePoint. And you will be sharing that link to entire team, just asking them to fill the Excel. Okay, let's put it like this is a lockdown time, so we need like whoever need a chair, whoever need a desk has to fill their employee ID and what are the things they need in that common Excel which is placed on a SharePoint. Okay, let's put it like that. Okay, so in that scenario everyone will be putting their data and we will be taking it on a centralized place, and we will be just doing a purchase order on that particular list. Okay, so this is a sample example I'm just giving. Similarly, whenever you face these kind of scenarios, like the input will be coming from multiple sectors, okay, to a single point, okay, the centralized data base is required, this particular data service concept can be implemented. You got it? The input will be coming from multiple sector to a centralized data services. Okay,
Yeah.
that's area where we are concentrating right now. Okay.
Okay. Hey,
And
that's
yeah,
really awesome.
exactly. And right now what it would be like, take an example, we can keep it like SQL database, a centralized one where everyone can hit the records. I mean everyone can push the records. Okay, but only the guys who know programming can push data into SQL database and retrieve it. Okay, At least they should have some knowledge over querying, how to do a query, all those stuffs. But in this case, you just have to drag and drop a few activities, and you just need to learn how to use those activities to retrieve the data from the centralized data store. Okay, so zero
Okay.
code. Yeah.
Yeah. So means if we look like as a pay developer perspective, then it really have minimum code capabilities. Like we don't
Mhm.
need to do the database connectivity to the database connection to the other providers like Oracle or NoSQL. So
Yeah.
that's yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Akshay.
Hi, Arun, Chandan here.
Hi, Chandan.
My question was that data source only. So the
Mhm.
current data source is Excel, right? So
Yeah.
can you also have a data other than Excel, or it's only restricted to Excel?
No,
Input.
no, no.
Mm.
Yeah. Let me just show the code 1 second. Mm. So you just see here. Let me come out of this thing.
Oh,
So you just see here.
read
Yeah.
range activity. I was asking the input.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, Chandan here.
Okay.
So here we just read the data from Excel and we are manipulating and we are just passing into this particular variable. Okay. Instead of, you can just retrieve these information from some sort of website. Okay. And you can just do the same action here. You got it? So the data source can be anything. It can be like a web page where you can get, or any application where you can get. The method is same. Okay, you have to pass it like this. Okay, instead of this particular row dot employee id which you are doing, instead of that you will just get it from some sort of application and you will just add it in this particular fashion. Okay, you will
And
not be using a for each in that case. Okay, you'll be just using a get text to retrieve the data from the web page and you will be just pasting here or passing here.
got
Confused?
it. Okay, no, if it's
Confused.
going to be a database, we are going to connect it to a database, means like some SQL or Oracle database, then we will use for each, right? If there will be a
Yeah,
thousand
the
records.
same. Yeah, then it will be the same. You'll be doing the same way. Okay. The data source can be anything as of now. Okay.
That assign part, right? You are
Mm-hmm.
using master row in the right hand side. Left hand side, I don't have a doubt that can, and
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
called as child, the assigning part, master row, right? So,
Okay.
and okay, that is from there. Okay,
So normally the for each row will have like row.
I
Okay.
got it. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I
Now I
just
got
changed
it.
it to
I
master row. Yeah.
okay. I thought something other than that. I did not see the top one. I got now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. But this thing you can just integrate with the automation tool. It's like we are doing everything in studio. They can add on to the automation domain. That's where the difference comes. Anything else, guys?
Mm, nothing from my.
I think we are good. It's time to wrap up. And before we wrap up, one more thing. That next week we will have a meetup where our expert from UiPath and one of the industry person, we will share exactly what we look for in a RPA candidate. When we say RPA candidate, it's basically for RPA developer and solution architect. And we will also share some implementable tips with you. We will also talk about what are major attributes that we measure candidate during the technical discussion, or what we actually notice in resume, or what are the mistakes most of the candidates make. So feel free to join this meetup, and so that anyone reaching out to you for any guidance or anything, you can always share that with them later.
Thanks, Vibor, for covering up. And we have another event in Chennai community on October 10th regarding Zendesk. So people, you can also register for that.
And not only one event, but if you see, we are having a lot of events even for the beginners. we have a one group which is called Learner, where we are going to, yeah. So who is
So
sharing? Arun, you are sharing, or?
it's me sharing.
Okay, you can also go to homepage then. Probably, share all the events we are having. Maybe go on top. Click, yeah. Yeah, you can just move forward and show all the sessions which are happening.
So this is it. Study Jam is over here, so people can join this also.
Yeah, you can move further also. There is arrow on right side. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, guys, and thanks for joining us on Friday evening, Saturday evening, in fact. Thanks, Arun. Thanks, Vinod. Thank you so much
Yeah, thank you
for
all.
this session.
Thank you.
And recording will be available after the, maybe after 2 hours or so on the same
Yeah.
page.
Thank you all. Have a happy weekend. Bye bye.